Hello, it's IELTS with me tutorial, and today I'm going to show you how to write a Band 9 essay for your IELTS writing task 2 essay. In this module, we'll focus on an opinion or personal viewpoint tasks. And in this lesson, I'll give you sample question and then provided Band 9 sample answer. Let's start. We are gonna learn more about how to avoid expressing emotions, how to evaluate our evidences in our task, and the usage of noun persons. Let's go on. Our question is here, healthcare should always be funded by governments and it should always be free for people to use. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this idea? Okay. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this idea? Okay, it's actually another opinion over personal viewpoint task. Okay, first we have to introduce the topic and then give our opinion in the introduction. Then the main body paragraph should explain our view, giving 2 or 3 reasons. 2 is enough. And then we should briefly consider the opposing view. This is actually making a concession. And please watch our videos regarding making concession. I will share with you the link above. And then after that, restate our opinion and the conclusion. Okay, that's important. Okay, now we are gonna share a start. Our question again: healthcare should always be funded by governments and it should always be free for people to use. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this idea? Few topics are more important, are more essential than a nation's healthcare. And the issue of payment will probably always be controversial. Always be controversial. Pay attention to its spelling, IAL. It seems to me that it appears to me that the sheer cost of universal free healthcare makes this an impractical aspiration. No matter how much we might admire the idea. Here we will see our body part 1, the longer one. Okay, the main obstacle seems to be the number of recipients of healthcare compared to the taxpayers, noun persons, who are need to fund it, especially in countries with aging populations such as Europe, such as European countries. The tax burden, pay attention, it is with E, on workers and other noun persons becomes intolerably high and can eventually stifle actually means suppress, and the frequency of this vocabulary is high. Okay, you have to learn it and use it, and eventually stifle economic growth. This painful lessons shown by this is how we are going to use our, another way of expressing our emotion. These painful lessons shown by states such as France seems to demonstrate that completely free healthcare is economically unsustainable, okay? A further issue relates to the cost of modern medicines, which can be extremely high if the latest drugs are used by health providers and other noun persons. This means that the cost of providing treatment rises almost without limits, making the permanent supply of free treatment unaffordable. One final point against this proposal, against this suggestion, this way, this path, is the added issue of globalization, by which people move increasingly freely between countries. If this means the taxpayers of one nation are now obliged to fund the healthcare of users from many other nations, this is surely a further significant factor which clearly makes a universal health service impractical. Not practical, right? Not practical. We have to write body part 2. Why? Because we need to have a balanced task, okay? A balanced sample answer. If you have just this one, the examiner actually we will lose our point, okay? So we will make a concession. Admittedly, I agree with those who argue that free health service is a worthy ambition for a country to have, and that we should all contribute something to the welfare of our fellow citizens. However, this aspiration suffers considerably when confronted with financial reality. To summarize, to recapitulate, all in all, it appears reasonable, logical for the state to fund as much as possible of the nation's healthcare. However, due to demographics and costs, nations, right? Aging populations. This needs to be supplemented by other methods, other ways, such as private insurance. Okay, let's go on and focus on it in more detail. First, about avoiding emotions. It is an important feature of academic English that the writer does not use emotion or humor. Even if the topic is one of that you feel strongly about, there are ways to show how you feel without using emotions. For example, it would be wrong to write something such as free healthcare is a wonderful or brilliant idea. We do not use it. Free healthcare is a terrible or blah blah idea, right? Words such as this are too emotional and should never be used in IELTS academic writing, even though we may use them in conversation. And in our essay, the writer shows his strong feeling for or against an idea by using unemotional phrases such as the sheer cost, means the cost is very high and is a factor by itself. An impractical aspiration would not work in reality. The tax burden on workers becomes intolerably high, means people would not accept it. These painful lessons causing serious issues, problems, unaffordable, cannot be afforded. This is surely a further significant factor. Most people would agree with me, okay? If you use a vocabulary such as this, the IELTS examiner will recognize that you have a strong opinion and you are expressing it in a professional and academic way. Okay. Other useful academic phrases to express in strong opinion. actually comprise, this idea would surely be unacceptable to most people. Most people would disagree strongly. It cannot be denied that it is undeniable that blah blah this idea is positive, helpful, imaginative. I think this and most people would agree. It is an inescapable fact that means nobody can say this is not true. The benefits of this approach appear to be overwhelmingly positive, so positive that most people would support it. This concept seems to be somewhat inadequate, not really good enough for its purpose. It is almost universally accepted that blah blah. There is an almost universal consensus that blah blah blah. Pay attention that in opinion type essays, try to use vocabulary such as this at least once when you give your opinion. The examiner will give you marks for avoiding emotions and using advanced academic language, okay? How we should evaluate evidences, okay? In our previous videos, we saw the method of presenting an idea and then giving an example or explanation as evidence. And in this module, look again at the way the writer evaluates the evidences, okay? To evaluate actually means to give a judgment on something compared to other things, okay? These painful lessons shown by studies such as France seem to demonstrate that completely free healthcare is economically unsustainable. The candidate uses seem to demonstrate, to emphasize that the evidence supports his ideas, his views. This means that the cost of providing treatment rises almost without limits, making the permanent supply of free treatment unaffordable. The candidate uses this means that blah blah making blah blah plus adjective to explain how the evidence is another example of his argument. This is surely a further significant factor which clearly makes universal health service impractical. Using clearly makes to evaluate, to give a judgment on the evidence he presents. However, this aspiration suffers significantly when confronted with financial reality. In this concession paragraph, the third paragraph, the candidate uses, however, to introduce a rejection of the opposing idea. Okay, try to use demonstrate or means that blah blah making or clearly makes and suitable conjunctions to comment on the evidence you present and explain how and why the evidence supports your argument, okay, in a balanced way. And regarding noun persons, such as taxpayers, workers, health providers, those who argue that, okay? This is a frequent method in English, in academic IELTS, academic English, because it avoids the use of people who pay tax, people who work, people or provide health, people who argue that, and etc. And instead, those who support X, those who oppose X, those who accept X, those who reject X, the authorities, contributors to X, recipients of X, observers, journalists and analysts who comment on situation, on condition, and researchers. It is not a mistake to say people who and plus verb. However, as always in academic writing, to achieve a high score, you must show that you can use at least some of the noun persons explained here. Okay? And here it's our sample question. And please remember to post your sample essay answer in comment section. Thanks for following and take care and see you soon in another video. Bye!